Hi there, I'm Budda and you're watching Dr. Guitar, a show for all you guitarists out there. In today's episode, I'm playing through two of my amps. I'm combining two of my amps. I've been doing this for a while. It's a segment where I combine amps and I'm showing you that two amps usually sound better than just two amps. They sound more than two amps. They sound bigger, more 3D. I'm loving to play with two amps set up. And it doesn't even need to be in stereo. Stereo is only a thing when you have different things going to both amps. So like having a delay that is ping-ponging and is doing this, or a Leslie sound, or a different pedal on one amp and on the other. But just having two different amps, especially like the amps I have today, with different speaker sizes, it immediately makes a more stereo sound because the speakers react differently and compress differently, so they have different timing. First of all, let me thank my dear patrons for supporting this show. I thank you so much. We are becoming a bigger family every day, so thank you so much. And if you wanna become a patron and support the show and be part of the patron family, just go to the link. It's super simple, and you'll be having access to free online video lessons every week, backing tracks every month, early access to episodes, and my huge thank you for supporting the show. You can also support the show by contributing to the tip jar on PayPal, and you can visit my reverb.com store where I have some of the gear I review here in the show but I can't afford to keep. If you're interested in guitar lessons with me, just send me an email or a direct message via Instagram or Facebook and we'll deal with it from there. Dr. Guitar. The amps I have today are the Pro Junior and the Excelsior. Both Fender amps, both not super common amps. Both very simple amps. So the Pro Junior has volume and tone, nothing else. The Excelsior has volume and a three-way switch. The three-way switch on the Excelsior, three-way tone switch, has bright or dark. I think it's what it says. Yeah, bright or dark. And this is not a review of the amps. This is just me showing you how they sound combined. The two-position tone switch, because it's only two position, I know I said three, but it's only two position, has a secret middle position. So if you carefully adjust it, it goes to the middle and it gives you a mid-range tone setting. So let's go through the amps so you can hear it. I'm playing it with my beautiful Nags Chop Tank, my favorite guitar of all time. And I'm miking both amps with SM57 and I'm combining both amps. I usually would not mic the amps with SM57s because I don't want them to sound the same. I want them to sound complementary and different. But in this case, I went for the two similar mics so you can hear how they sound kind of similar. Let's go with the Excelsior. This is in the mid-range, so let's put it on the bright setting. On the dark setting. And now back to the mid-range. Hear it, I'm moving it carefully, so hear it when it pops. So it kind of engages both. It's kind of bright and dark at the same time, which is really cool. Then the Excelsior has a tremolo, which is a great feature to play in stereo. But I'll go there in a minute. Let's hear the Pro Junior. In the Pro Junior, I've changed the speaker previously, so I'm having a P10R as a speaker there. But if you want to see the episode, the link is right here. Go and watch the episode where I compare the speakers. I kept the P10R, by the way. On the Excelsior, it has a 15-inch speaker, but it is a special edition speaker. This is not the regular Excelsior. We usually think a 15-inch speaker would have more bass and would sound deeper, but actually what I think is that a 15-inch speaker sounds scoopier. So it has kind of a little more bass, but it has way more treble. So it's less direct sounding. While the P10R speaker, the 10-inch speaker, is very direct, very nasal, very mid-rangey, very warm sounding. It's not super low and not super high. It's exactly the middle. So that's why I usually like to combine 15-inch with 10-inch live with Budda Power Blues. I play my Supros, and I have the Tremolo Verb, which you can also watch the review here in the channel, and the Thunderbolt, which you can watch the review here in the channel. Both amps, they have a 15-inch speaker and a 10-inch speaker, and that's why I combine them, because it sounds glorious. This is kind of a cheaper version of that, but it's also really great. You're probably thinking, what's that cool cabinet I have here? Well, that cool cabinet is made by the Ribeira Cabinets, which is a Portuguese manufacturer that only builds cabinets, and he also builds guitars, but especially cabinets. He built me this one, this cabinet here, not the amp is from Madeira, also Portuguese, but he built me the other one, and I love it because he builds it in a wood format, which is very beautiful. But it's a regular Pro Junior, just with a better cabinet, because it's solid wood. So let's go with two amps, and I'll show you immediately a thing I really love with these two amps. Since the Excelsior has tremolo, a great thing is to use the tremolo on the Excelsior, and it sounds immediately stereo. So hear it normally, both amps together. With a little reverb by Surfy Bear Reverb, Surfy Industries Reverb, that's a real spring reverb. And let me turn on just a little of the tremolo. You almost don't hear it, and later I turned on the Deep Six, Walrus Audio Deep Six. You almost don't hear the tremolo, but it makes a huge stereo warbling, because it's making the left side, the Excelsior side, well, your right side, my left side, this side, it makes it kind of go in and out, so it creates a really cool landscape. It's not a stereo trem, but having a trem on just one of the amps makes it sound completely great. I'm not using that so I don't confuse you. So let's hear how they sound with drive and how it combines drive. I will let you hear just the Pro Junior, just the Excelsior, and then both. So here's with J-Rocket Melody. Now I'll play the same riff twice. Both amps together. Just the Excelsior. Just the Pro Junior. And now both. So you can really hear how they affect each other's. The Excelsior, to me, it's way brighter. The Pro Junior is thicker and fat sounding, and they combined, they sound way bigger than just a louder amp. It's different than sounding louder. It sounds way more 3D, and it's magical. It makes me play. It makes me want to play and play and play. Funny enough, the Excelsior in the recording sounds way fatter than the Pro Junior sounded in the room, but in the room the Excelsior was sounding bright and like Jimmy Page sounding. I might have put the mic too far out on the speaker, but I know also that the Excelsior has that low sound. Of course, great thing of playing two amps in stereo is using stereo effects. So using my Line 6 auto volume preset that I call swell, it's almost like raising the volume while playing it. Hear it, and it's stereo, so it's huge sounding. The Leslie is also a great effect. I like to use stereo because it makes it sound real. And I've been loving to play small amps, especially here in the studio, but also live, because two amps, two quiet amps sound huge live. You don't need a lot of volume because they move a lot of air, and they sound bigger than they are, because if I turn one off, it will sound too quiet, but together it's really, really loud. And for you to understand why a pedal on itself doesn't have a sound, I will show you how every of my gain pedal sounds going through the Excelsior and then going through the Pro Junior, and you'll hear it sounds completely different. So keep this in mind too, because a pedal doesn't really have a sound. It has a feel of playing, but it depends on the amp you're plugging it into and how the amp is set, because if the amp is breaking, the pedal sounds completely different than if the amp is clean. Okay, let's start with the Jive, one of my favorite clean boosts. It's not really clean, but it's kind of clean. And the Jive sounds like this. So if I play both amps, now with the Jive. Now here, just go into the Excelsior. Just to the Pro Junior. Right, and here the full tone GT500 on the Pro Junior. Now just on the Excelsior. Both amps. Copenhagen Bender, which is a tone bender, just on the Excelsior. Just on the Pro Junior. Now both together. Now the Silver Machine Octafuzz. Just on the Pro Junior. Just on the Excelsior. Both together. So I guess you understand it's really a cool thing to combine both amps and amps with different characteristics. So a brighter, scoopier amp with a more mid-range amp, it's really great. And this all started out with me combining in the studio for the first time in 2006 probably, combining a Vox AC30 with my twin reverb, and I was blown away because the sound was huge. And I didn't rest until I get my Vox AC30, because I was always wanting to combine them. But then they are too powerful for any situation, so I started going smaller and smaller, and I did an episode on how to get a great tone at home. You can watch it too. And the solution I had was basically treating the acoustics in my room, but getting my two Mesa Boogie Transatlantic in stereo, one with a 10-inch speaker, one with a 12-inch speaker, and getting them to be in the same room playing stereo. It sounds huge without being too loud for home use. Well, that's it. I hope this has been helpful to you. I hope you have liked the show. Please let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts? Did you like the amps? The goal of this episode is not to show you how the amps sound or how I use the amps. It's mostly to inspire you to plug in different amps and play them together, because it will be amazed on how cool the sound is, how great in 3D the sound spectrum is. So please let me know in the comments if you liked the episode and what's your favorite thing, and how do you use, and if you use, of course, stereo rig or a 2-amp rig, because it doesn't have to be stereo. It could be mono, like the same sounds going to both amps. In this case, I'm splitting the signal on my line 6 M9. I'm taking the left and right outputs of the line 6, and that's what making it stereo on the Leslie and on the delay especially. If you want to become a patron, please go to the link and follow the steps. It's super easy, and you'll be supporting the show, getting free video lessons every week, early access to the episodes, backing tracks every month, and my huge thank you for supporting the show. You can also contribute to the tip jar on PayPal. And if you are interested in guitar lessons with me, just send me an email or a direct message via Instagram or Facebook, and we'll deal with it from there. Hope you liked it, and we'll see each other next week. Bye-bye.